everyone, and welcome back to our course on Langchain. In the last two videos, we have covered in detail the two components of Langchain, which are the schemas and the models. And in this video, we're going to be covering the third component, which is prompt. So in the last two videos, you might have heard me mention prompts in many ways. So today, let's talk in detail about what a prompt exactly is. So a prompt refers to what is passed on to the underlying model. So now when we consider a large language model, we pass in the text to a large language model or a chat model for that matter to get a response from the model. So that is basically known as the prompt engineering that we do in order to get an answer from the model. Now for the large language model, our prompt is a text, but it necessarily doesn't have to be text for other generative AI models. So some generative AI models may take in an image, or some of them may take in an audio, depending on what is the outcome or what is the response that is expected from that generative AI model. So passing in a text or an image or an audio into a model to get a particular desired output from that model, this entire process is known as prompt engineering. Okay, so now that you have understood what is prompt and prompt engineering, let's move on to the code section. Okay, let's just go through a formal definition of prompt engineering first. So it refers to the process of designing and refining the prompts or the instructions given to the language model like GPT to obtain the desired output. Now what it wants to say is that when we pass in a text or a question or a query to our GPT model, we might not get the expected outcome in the first iteration itself. It might take us around 2 to 3 iterations to reach the output that we were looking for. Therefore, it is a process that requires designing and the refining of prompts to get us the output that we want. So we achieve these through trial and error, and the researchers, they adjust prompts to achieve the desired output quality, correctness and relevance. So prompt engineering is growing on to be a very big field in engineering as generative AI is growing on, and there are going to be many more jobs that are going to be available in the industry which are going to be centered around prompt engineering. So therefore, let's understand the 5 best practices for giving prompts. Okay, the prerequisites for this code are OpenAI library and Langchain library have to be installed. Then we start by importing the OpenAI library. We pass in the OpenAI key over here. Then from langchain.llms we import OpenAI and instantiate an OpenAI model over here, and the temperature setting is 0. I think till now you might have got familiar with instantiating this model. Next, the first case that we look towards making a good prompt is the use of delimiters. So delimiters are basically some punctuation marks that are used so that the model can understand the text and can separate the text from the actual instruction. So let's look at this example over here. The text that we have provided is over here, as well as the prompt that we're writing is that you need to summarize the text that has been delimited by the triple backticks into a single sentence. And then we pass in the text over here which has been included in the triple backticks. Now you can use anything else, such as you can even use tilde, or if you want to use double quotes or single quotes, any delimiter of your choice you can use. It's basically, we want to tell the model that you need to summarize the text that has been provided only inside these punctuation marks. So it's a good practice as you're telling the model that you need to differentiate the instruction from the text. Now this entire prompt, we pass it to the LLM and we get the answer over here. So this is a one-line summarization of the entire paragraph. Okay, now the second way is that we should always ask the LLM model for the structured output. Now structured output might be something in the form of a JSON, HTML or an XML response. So the prompt that we pass into our large language model is It has to generate a list of countries including USA, India, Uganda, along with their country code and current precedents, provide them in JSON format with each of the following keys. So country ID, name, code, and precedent. So this is the output that we basically get. That is the country ID is one, name United States, code USA, and precedent Joe Biden. Similarly for India and similarly for Uganda. Just a note over here, the current president of India is Honorable Draupadi Murmur. Over here, Ramnath Kovind has been mentioned, as OpenAI has only been trained till September of 2021. Okay. Then next we ask the same question, but right now the answer that we're expecting is in the HTML format. So this is the HTML format that we get over here. Then after that we have asked for the XML format. So this is the XML format that we get over here. Okay. Now moving on to few shot prompting. So let's take an analogy to understand few shot prompting in detail. For example, it's Diwali time right now and you ask your parents to buy a dress for you. So your parents, they go to a shop and they pick up a dress for you. The chances of you liking and not liking the dress are 50-50. So you may either like it or you may even dislike the dress. But now how do you increase the chances of you liking the dress? So for that purpose, you already tell your parents that you want a pink dress which has embroidery on it, as well as has cap sleeves on it, something of that sort. You give some instructions to your parents, so the chances that they'll pick up a similar dress for you are going to be large, and that you might actually like that dress that they have picked up for you. So in the same way, we tell our model that what we are expecting from it. So let's just look at this example to understand this in detail. So we tell the model that you have to answer in a funny manner, and the child is asking what is patience. So the grandparent is saying patience is like waiting for your pizza delivery during a snowstorm when your stomach is growling louder than a hungry lion. And there are some other examples also that are there in the sentence. So the next question that child asks is what is generosity? So the answer that we get is that generosity is like giving away your last slice of pizza to a friend who has had a bad day. So this is actually a very funny answer, and it is on the same lines on which what is patience question had been replied. That is, patience is like waiting for your pizza delivery during a snowstorm when your stomach is growling louder than a hungry lion. So now if you would have generally asked the model what is generosity, it wouldn't have replied in a funny way. It would have given the actual definition of generosity, and that is not what you were expecting. So basically by few shot prompting, you tell the model exactly what you want from it. Okay, then you should, one of the other good practices is that you should always specify the steps that are required to complete the task. So for example, you can say that they perform the following actions. So first is to summarize the following text, then translate the summary into English and list each verb in the English summary. And over here again you can see we have put the text into delimiters. So this is our text over here. So this is the summary that we get in Sanskrit. Then it has been translated into English, and then the verbs have been provided over here. Okay, another practice is basically we ask the model for showing a detailed solution of how it figured out the answer. So this is a very good practice in logical questions where the logic has to be applied. So the question is a mathematical problem on profit and loss, and we ask the model to solve that problem, and it has given us 5 steps for solving that problem. Okay, so with this we come to an end on this video on prompt engineering and good practices of writing prompts. And in the next videos we'll be talking about the prompt templates as well as chat prompt templates in detail. So I hope you found this video insightful. Please feel free to write your doubts in the comment section. We'll be happy to answer them. And thank you so much for watching this.